Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, thanks very much. Great set. Brilliant. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Good stuff. But for the rest of the world out there, let's go back to the introductions again. So, if you could introduce yourselves.
Finn Talisker.
Toby Freeman.
Cameron Con.
And together we are the Trio Project. But folks, that is just the working title. And over the next sort of couple of months, I guess you're going to be refining what your band name morphs into.
Yeah. We'll try and find what suits best.
Yeah. I mean, Trio Project is relatively apt because there are three of you.
Yeah.
and it's a project.
Yeah.
Okay, so winding back, that set was a mix of originals and tracks by Hiromi.
Yes.
Originally written by Hiromi. Could you explain to the world who Hiromi is? Because I had never heard of her until I started looking into the kind of the stuff that you were talking about.
Same.
Yeah, so I discovered her a couple of years back. I was just doing a solo performance piece for one of my courses at college or something, and I just thought, I want to push myself. So I learned one of these pieces, and I loved it so much, and I thought, I want to put this together as a band. And she's already got a trio of people, drums, keys, and bass. Hiromi does. So I thought, let's make it into a band, not just solo. So I got Cam along, and he loved it. But it took us a while. We couldn't find a bassist for a long time. And then Toby came along. When we both, me and Cam went up to Leeds for university, and we met Toby, and he wanted to join the project. But yeah, sorry, I diverted. Hiromi is Japanese pianist. Check her out. She does a lot of classical, but also jazz. But she melds it together, so there's a lot of improvisation, but also a lot of rehearsed parts. So it's a nice mix.
In some of the stuff that I've seen her do, she's a very strong stage presence as well.
Yes, she's got wild hair.
And
jumps all over the piano.
Really good. So definitely, if you're out there, go out and check her out. And hopefully, after listening to her tracks that you played tonight, people will have some idea of what they're looking for. But absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
So I'm going to turn to my left and talk to Cam.
Hello.
Hi, Cam.
Hi.
So you're all now actually at the same uni, is that right? Which is
Leeds
is
Conservatoire.
Leeds Conservatoire. That makes it sound so much better, doesn't it? Conservatoire. Obviously, drums. So in the sort of jazz field, there are an awful lot of brilliant drummers, and have over the last 50 years, we've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
Whose school of drumming do you subscribe to?
Well, from the age of 8, my dad showed me a video of Buddy Rich in 1978 playing a stick trick solo. I don't remember the name of the program it was on, but it was the most amazing solo I'd ever seen. Especially at such a young age, I wanted to do that, so I copied him years on end every day and tried to get where I could. But over time, I started to be more open. One of my drum teachers, Steve Crosson, he showed me pretty much as many rhythms around all world cultures. And I started becoming more open to all music. So, more contemporary stuff, new types of jazz. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything, really.
Because sometimes when I was listening to what you were playing, there were parts of what you're doing that reminded me of some of those jazz rock bands of the late 70s, early 80s, like Brand X, for instance.
Phil Collins,
and I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called National Health.
I haven't.
Okay, go out and find them.
Okay.
You'd like it. Did I hear, actually, in one of the tracks, a little refrain from The Simpsons somewhere?
You did. That was my cringeful idea. It's a bit cheesy, but
but that's the humour, actually. That you can inject into something, and it sneaks up on people and surprises them.
Yeah, I mean, we quite like. We've changed it a lot. I mean, throughout the solos, every few months or so, we'll change inspiration. Like sometimes, I think today I played a little bit of Tubular Bells. I think Toby did also as well in a separate piece. Yeah, I played.
It was in the last but one song, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then previously,
yeah.
And
I heard that and I thought, Nah, it must be just a coincidence.
But sometimes it's just like when you know things or know pieces or you hear things, it sometimes just fits in and you're like, sneak it in there. And it's, so we like to do that, don't we? Like, mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
It's a way to try and, we want to keep the attention of the audience. So anything like that just kind of helps make it exciting or more fun for us as well.
Yeah. Okay, so talking, coming back to bass, for instance, I've just talked to Cam about sort of, his I hate to say drum influences, but that's what it boils down to. So as bass players, you may not have heard of a bass player called Pekka Pajola, Swedish bass player.
No.
I think he's dead now, actually. I could hear his fingers on your bass playing there.
Spooky.
From your point of view.
Well, they're guitar fingers. I've sort of only picked up bass for this, really. So, well, before I listened to a lot of Chris Squire, so from Yes, he obviously uses a pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I use a pick for kind of half of the set, really, or the really hard bits. That's a bit I can sort of play quickly with.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing with fingers is something I've really developed for this.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So not that long.
No, not at all. Well, I play it a bit around, but this is
Yeah.
proper, and I've learned a lot from doing this. It's been amazing, great fun.
I came to Toby and I said, we really need a bassist, and it's not. It's a 3-piece, and we can't have a guitarist. We need the low end, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." And that was amazing because he's mainly a guitarist, and I've seen his stuff, and
You
it's
wouldn't
amazing.
know,
And
from my point of
exactly,
view.
and probably the best bassist I've ever worked with. I know we're getting higher level as we grow up, but he's got a very good attention to detail and good ethic.
Well done, you.
But no, it really makes because we used to be a duo, you see, last year, so it's really added a huge amount, so it's it's true. 3 people now.
Okay, so the people that were listening to this will have heard some of your original works, and presumably you're going to be kind of developing more of that over time. And I guess the inevitable question at some point is going to be, I suppose, recording needs to be done at some point.
So there's a couple of people who we did a gig up in Leeds, and we had a few people come up to us say they wanted to help us do some mixing and recording, things like that. So when we go up to Leeds, that's gonna be sort of the next thing we do. But of course, we've only got about 4 or 5 originals compared to the 7.
We've got a few more in the vault. I've written a piece, he's written a few more.
Yeah.
So we're building up the repertoire to be recorded. But
and the stuff that you're doing at Leeds, I mean, involves composition anyway. So you're inevitably going to be knocking a few more bits and pieces up over the next year or so. Yeah. So turning back to yourself, so at Leeds, is the aspect of the course that you're doing the same as these guys, or are they doing more composition than you? How does it work?
Well, I'm on a different course.
Right.
Toby and Finn are on the film music. I'm on the jazz course. It's,
right. Okay.
It's very 50-50. So there's a lot of theory-based compositions and there's a lot of practical work developing you to get to the right standard for second year. But it's just preparing you to get both tastes of composition and practical work so you can pick what module you want to do the next year and focus on that solely. So there's a massive mixture. It's very different to the film music. I don't know what they study really, but it's mainly about the instrument rather than arranging stuff, your skill as a musician.
Right. Okay, and your stuff, you're doing the film side of things, so presumably that leads you into a sort of like a path. Because, I mean, some of this music is often used with film. Is that your kind of direction of travel? Why did you choose to go down that road?
Well, for me, I've always had a problem with not sticking to one thing. I mean, I chose music, but I couldn't go full on jazz or full on classical because it's not for me, because I like to dip into lots of areas.
Yeah, because you do some gypsy jazz stuff as well, don't you? You've got a few other bits and pieces floating around. Yeah,
so I had another band actually who played here 2 years back called Talisker. Also got another gypsy folk band of the same sort of style called Tempest, releasing an album this year. But lots of stuff going on, and I think if I focus on one thing, obviously I'd be brilliant at that one thing. But I like to have, but I like to just do different things and work with different people. And with film music, it's quite individual because you have to do a lot of solo composition and stuff, but it also allows you to work with, you could say, oh, could I borrow you, violinist, to help me, and you can make brilliant connections, and it helps you get into the professional world of music as well. Yeah. Film music is quite a good booming industry. So.
Yeah, I should imagine it's a really interesting technical craft as well as artistic, insofar as we take it for granted when we see it on the screen, but there's a lot of thought gone into why those pieces of music need to be the way they are because of the action and the sound effects that are sitting around it as well.
I mean, you're expected to do it all. You're expected to program the whole orchestra just on your computer. So yeah, as kind of Finn said, there's not much of a real life aspect to it, collaborating and stuff. So that's why it's such a breath of fresh air to do this. Yeah. With Finn, and obviously I met him through the film music course, so that's come from it as well.
Brilliant. I think that the thing was like, it's very individual focused, and you can sort of work with other people. But with having something on the side, like us two going, all right, we've got this is our studies, and then we can go out, be social, perform. Yeah. It's hitting both aspects of music, which I think is really important. Performance and also composition, because you don't want to be hiding behind, but you don't want to just be performing and not writing. So it's like, trying to build up all your skills.
Do it all. Why not? Yeah. Okay, so the future in terms of the performing sort of side of things. I don't know about you, but I go to Cheltenham Jazz every year when it's on, and this sort of the set that you've done today is just exactly the right tone for places like that. So I guess over the next 12 months, as the world opens up a little bit, you're going to be pitching to get some of those gigs. Yeah.
It takes, with festivals, obviously, it takes quite a while, so you've got to get in there the year before almost, or 6 months before. So it's about having the confidence to go, right, are we going to be ready? And I think if we push ourselves, we can be. We're going to keep gigging in Leeds as well while we're up there, and learning a lot about putting on events and stuff like that, performance, and then hopefully that will prep us for festivals in the summer of next year and the future. So, yes. Okay. Cool.
So, last chance saloon. Anything that you want to get across to the wide public now before we close?
Cam, anything?
You've got a website.
We've got.
Have we mentioned that or not?
We haven't.
You haven't. No.
No, we haven't.
That's what I'm getting at. You've got a website. If
how do they find it?
In getting hold of you.
It's not public yet. We're going to publicise it soon, but it's not public at the moment. But it's made. But so that's coming out soon. You can check out any other videos of us online as well. Type in either the Duo Project from last year's gigs or the Trio Project. We're also on Instagram, and we'll be setting up a Facebook page soon. So we're building up our image sort of now. But also we need to decide on our name as well. So
that is a relatively fundamental.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, thank you for listening to us, and thank you for having us as well.
And thank you for playing an absolutely brilliant set.
Thank you very much.
So you've been watching Soundcheck from Visual Radio Arts, and that was the Trio Project. This is the last of our shows that we're broadcasting from the old fire station. Those of you that have been watching our performances over the last sort of 4.5, 5 years will know that we're based in Frome. At the end of this month, we'll be moving house and moving over to a new studio in Devizes. So if you haven't been watching our stuff, where have you been? And just to try and tease you into going back over our back catalogue a bit, at the end of this show, there'll be a short show reel of extracts of some of the shows that we've had over the last 5 years that will keep you going, hopefully, for the next couple of months until we get into the new studio with a whole host of new bands to take us forward through the next 5 years. So, thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back.